girls, welcome to where I'm doing my work for this year anyways, which is up here in Ballston Spa, and I thought I'd sort of show you how I work. I mean, you're familiar with Nate the Great, I guess. You've heard of Nate. Well, I've been lucky enough this is my second Nate the Great book, to illustrate Nate the Great. Overall, there's there's so many books of Nate the Great, probably 25. But the other illustrator is I think he's in his 80s now, and he only does one book. He doesn't want to do Nate the Great anymore. So I get to do Nate the Great for however many more books there might be, I don't know. But I'm working on one now that's called Nate the Great and the Hungry Book Club. And I'll sort of show you, or give you an idea of how I do it. This is just sort of the method I use. Not that everybody works like this, but for example, this page, they give me the words. And the designer sets it up in the right size type. And you see under here, there's some suggestions. Here the art says Nate on phone or putting photo in pocket. And over here they said Nate and Sludge, his dog, if you remember his dog was Sludge, his constant companion here, is running towards the front door, show action. So in that way, I don't really think up too much of the illustrations, but once I do some sketches, which look like this, on this kind of tissue paper, that tracing paper I use. And for Nate rushing towards the door, I submitted this. It's pretty scribbly, pretty messy actually. But by now they understand that it'll look like Nate. It won't, and this will look like a dog. He looks a little weird right here, but eventually, I have to refine it. And I have to send it into them, and then here they made the count. For this one, they actually liked it, so she just put a check, like, that's okay, nice, go ahead. So once this book is so big. Here are all the pages. All these pages.
Wow.
Look like this. And each one has a drawing that I have to make into a painting.
Wow.
So this is why I'm always behind in my work. I never catch up. So what I've been doing this week is going through, and since this is so tiny, I enlarge it on my copier back here. I enlarge it and I put it down on the watercolor paper. That's what I paint on for this book in particular. And what I do is then take this, which is sort of like, it's a graphite paper, but if I put it under here, and I take a pen or a pencil, actually I use this pen that's run out of ink, and I trace over Sludge like this. Sometimes I even have people help me do this, because I don't necessarily have to do this. Especially if my drawing's a little more accurate, sometimes I'll have someone that helps me do this part while I'm painting another part. Like a person that's just helping me out can do this part. So just for example, that does not look like a running dog's leg, but see, it puts it down. And there my sketch is transferred to the watercolor paper. And if I want to fix it up a little bit to make sure it looks like the dog, then I'll just take a regular, well, this is a pencil that has leads in it, so I can replace it. And it gets sharpened with this thingamajig like this. So I have a nice sharp point all the time, or sometimes I use my electric pencil sharpener for regular pencils, and I always have two of these because if I run out of a pencil sharpener, I'm really in trouble. But if we have a power outage, I can use that. And so then I sketch it the way I like it, and eventually this whole drawing would be transferred down. And then, when I'm happy with it, and then these are the erasers I use because they don't create any dust, since I change my mind a lot and I want to erase. They're called gum erasers because they're sort of like gum. And then I'll, make sure the pencil doesn't show too much, so I try to get some of the darkness of it up. And then I would start by wetting my paints, and here's my messy palette. It's definitely messy. I would paint it with the watercolors. Get my water all fresh and filled, get out my brushes, which are down here, because I'm still at the sketch stage now. And I have a palette here, a disposable palette. I mix my my paints on this sort of shiny paper, and then when it's all filled up, I can throw it right away. So that's sort of the process. Then when I'm happy with it, or you know, when I have no more time to change my mind, then I have to package it all up and send it off to the publisher. And they still get to make changes if they think something doesn't look right. In one of the other books I did, and I'll show you a copy of that, Nate didn't look old enough, so they wanted me to make him a little thinner in the middle, and a lot of times they can fix those things on the computer. But that's the process, and this is the daunting pile, you know. This pile has to eventually end up to be finished paintings. And I think I have some finished paintings to show you.
And in some of your books you used inspiration from your childhood, right?
Yeah, and of course not in this case because this is an already established character, but in my own books, that I did earlier on, yeah, because I did a lot of holiday books, Christmas books, and I always remember we would say, when we drive down from up here in the north end of Ballston down, you come down the hill and you could look at all downtown with all the Christmas lights, and it always looked like a twinkling fairyland.
Yeah, it's still beautiful.
I know, it still is with the snow and everything. So in some of my earlier Christmas books, I mean, we can take a look at those too.
Yeah.
Really, Ballston Spa was my inspiration because it's such a cute little village, even better now. But and some of the beautiful houses on East High Street, and hopefully one day I'll get to do some books again like that. And Ballston still is sort of an inspiration. I mean, still the country woods around, but I think Ballston is better than ever right now, I would say.
Yeah.
I really love growing up here in Ballston Spa. I think we used to walk to South Street School. That's where we went. Sometimes we were even allowed to walk that far.